Good morning, everybody. It's Mike Watson here. Very excited to talk to you as we prepare to head to Las Vegas. Many of you know we have our upcoming Retire in 5 Years class. Wanted to take some time here just to do a brief webinar to get you prepped for that event and some of the things that we want you to do and bring and prepare so that you have the most beneficial experience there in Las Vegas. As you've heard, we've touted this camp as a very positive opportunity for you to do some great things. Our goals here are how to teach you in the next 5 years to pay off your entire life, how to have a massive chunk of cash on hand as disposable rainy day income. We also want to teach you how to have significant revenues over the next 10 years, that as those revenues come in, you will have ample money to live on and prosper with, to share and to serve. And then at the end of 10 years, we'll have lump sums of cash coming in again and again, rolling in lump sums of cash. And then lastly, we want to have you have passive income for life. So some fantastic things that we've got there. We want to make sure that you're able to accomplish that. That's the goal of the camp and the camp that we're going to have. And that's what you guys are going to watch me do over the next 5 years. My goal personally is to retire in 5 years. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And you're going to watch me over the next 5 years. We're going to do that. We're going to accomplish that. And retirement, let's discuss that real quickly. Retirement can mean different things for different people. In hearing the title for this class, some people say to me, Mike, I don't want to retire. I'm not interested in that class. I want to keep working. And I think what most of them mean, my thought is, are you crazy? I'd like to teach you how to have a life where you can sit on the beach for the rest of your life. And if you choose, of course. But I think what most people believe, and this is what my personal belief is that we retire for us is when we work because we want to, not because we have to. We're not working anymore because we're forced to, we're under debt, we're forced to create obligations. We're not trading time for money. We want to live life the way we choose to. Most people that retire at some point die. We want to keep growing and expanding. And so retirement for us means we're in control of the terms of where and how we offer our time and our services, and we're paid handsomely, whether or not we spend a week or two or a month or a summer on a beach somewhere in some part of the world. We have those opportunities and those options. Retirement also means for me that we can up our charitable game significantly. We could put monies where they belong in other people's places. Let's face it, one of the sayings you'll hear from me often, one of the sayings I created is, once you have the knowledge, you have the responsibility. Meaning, once you know how to do this, once you have a prosperous life, once you have some abilities, financial on hand, then you have the responsibility to help other people and serve other people and help other people with charitable actions, whether it be money or time or foundations or whatever it is that makes your heart sing. So we want to make sure that that's prepped for you as we prepare for Las Vegas. So here's what I want you to do just over the next few minutes. I'm going to share some great things for you. Here's some things to do to get prepped for Vegas. The first thing I want you to do is get your personal finances in order. Now, I don't mean I want you to fix anything, but I want you to come with a very clear understanding of your life. One of the things I've learned, sadly, as I've dealt with many, many people in counseling with budgeting, and I've done some of that on the side as a volunteer work where I've worked budgets with people. I've gone through their financial portfolios with them and kind of got a grasp on their life. Most people don't have a very accurate clue about the financial situation of their life. Most people just kind of have a stress or a tension about it, and it's an underlying stress that pushes them to work and causes a discomfort in them, but they can't adequately say. If you went up to most people on the street and said, how much money do you owe and to whom? And what are your monthly bills and how much do they total? And what are your annual bills? And what are the monies that you have to make to have different styles of living? Most people can't answer that. So I want you to get a very clear picture as we prepare for Vegas, because if we don't know what it is, we can't fix it. And it's going to be painful for some of you. It'll probably be painful for most of you, but we can't fix it until we have a clear picture on that. So number two, how much do you owe in your life? Mortgages, debts, loans, liens, encumbrances. Where are the monies owed? And we want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of that so we can set some really good goals moving forward. Excuse me. We want to set some really good goals moving forward. We have an adequate picture of what we're going to do to change your financial situation. Number three, how much does your life cost for you to live monthly? How much do you have to earn to get by? How much do you have to earn to be comfortable? How much would you have to earn on a monthly basis to live the life that you deserve? Additionally, what would those numbers be if there was no debt? One of the goals here again in Vegas is to pay off all debt so that you have a debt-free life. And obviously, the numbers might change on what you have to have, not necessarily on what you want to have if you didn't have any debt in your life. So number 4, how much monthly income would you like to have each month after your life is paid off? That kind of goes back to that same thing. So we're going to talk about that here a little bit more in just a second. Number 5, this is an important one too. How much cash on hand would you like to have in a slush fund, in a rainy day account? So again, the goal of Vegas is to pay your entire life off, have a huge chunk of cash in some banks and some other assets. And then we want to have a portfolio of paid off real estate that produces income for the rest of our entire life. And then we also want to have some passive property list income that is mailbox money. It's money you receive every month for things that you've done and things that you don't have to continue to work for and manage and those types of things. So you'll have income coming in for a long period of time. So we want to ask these questions here. We want a clear idea of what those numbers are. And don't just pick numbers out of the air, guys. The more detail and the more effort you make in creating these numbers and formulating these, the more likely you'll be to be serious about your pursuit of the retiring in 5 years opportunities. Now, I wanted to ask some important questions for you on our way to retirement here. So here they are. And I want you to come prepped with answers. So if we ask you these questions in class, you'll be able to speak educatedly to them. Number 1, how many more years do you currently have to work to have any kind of retirement? See, sadly, most Americans believe that, gosh, I'll work till the end, and then I'm hoping and praying that Social Security might still be there, and then I really don't know what I'm going to do after that. And you might have some money in an IRA or a 401k, and gosh, how do I not outlive that money, and how do I live above the poverty line? I don't remember the statistic, but it's well over 90% of our seniors live below the poverty line. They just have no income. And we want to change that. So how many more years would you have to currently work? Number 2, how many more years do you want to work? And again, this is kind of a loaded question. Most people say, gosh, I don't want to work at all. But I know people that retire early and they don't do a lot and they go golfing every day and do things like that. And they go crazy and they drive their spouses crazy. So I want to make sure that, again, you understand we probably won't stop working, but we'll work under a different set of pretenses in a different context because we want to, and the terms of our work will be ours to govern solely. So how many more years do you want to work? And work might mean something different for you. One of the goals I have when I retire and I get to that point where my financial situation is in a fantastic place is I'm literally going to walk away and do a lot of service. I have some very high service goals that I want to do, and I want to make sure that those service opportunities come to fruition and I can do some great things that I want to do that make my heart sing. Number 3, what would work look like for you if you didn't have to work anymore? And I want you to create a mental picture. In fact, I'd like you to describe this in writing if you could. What would work look like? How would your life look like? How would you act? How would you treat other people? What would your schedule be like if you didn't have to work anymore? And that's absolutely crucial. And I want you to understand that because, again, the more real we can create those environments in our mind and the more real we can and descriptive we can be about those goals, the better the opportunity that we'll have as we move towards those things to persist through some of the changes that we need to make. So number 4, what would you do if you had disposable income? What would you do if you had disposable income? Most of you are like, what's that? What's disposable income? Disposable income is income that doesn't matter what you do with it. If you want to spend it, if you want to gift it, you want to donate it, you want to be frivolous with it, you want to do all of the above with it, that's the beauty of disposable income. I want you to write down some goals of what your disposable income will be like and what you would do with it. If you had a life that was paid for and $5,000 a month coming in to live off of, or 10 or 15 or 50 or whatever your numbers are, what would you do if you had that disposable income? Who would you help? But those are some of the things we want to start working towards. Now, philanthropy is a high goal. It's a high desire that we have. And most of us aren't able to help others, not because we don't want to, because our financial situation doesn't allow that. So these are the things that we want to formulate here and be very clear about as we go to Vegas, so that we have the ability to focus on the opportunities ahead of us to make those happen, those things come to fruition. Now, here's a list of things that I want you to bring to Las Vegas with me. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, I want you to get your current net worth statement. Now, some of you have never done that before. Some of you don't want to see it. Some of you will have a negative net worth. It's okay. I don't care what it looks like now. What I care is what we're prepared to do to fix it or to change it. Now, your net worth literally is a list of all your assets with their values. So, for example, if I owned a house that was worth $300,000 and I owed $200,000 and I didn't have any other debts or any other expenses, or excuse me, any other debts or any other assets, my net worth would be $100,000. My asset here would be my home. Its value of $300,000 minus the $200,000 mortgage. My net worth would be $100,000. You want to look at everything. What do you owe on credit cards? What do you owe on vehicles? What do you owe on debts or liens or encumbrances? What do you owe on real property? Where do you owe money and how much is it? And then how does that compare to the assets that you have on hand? Assets on hand can be cash and accounts. They can be IRAs, 401ks. They can be equity in properties. They can also be collections. I have a basketball card collection, for example, and it's not worth a lot now as the market for sports trading cards crashed a few years back. But I have quite a few sports cards, and it has a little bit of value, but not what it used to. So what value do you have? It might include some jewelry and some other things that you have on hand for your net worth. So I want you to have a very clear idea of that. And I want you to get a feeling for what you want. What do you want your net worth to be? Now, a lot of you will learn that net worth is important, but what's more important too is the repeatable monthly income that we're going to receive over time. And that comes to question number 2 here is, guys, I want you to bring a monthly budget. And it doesn't have to be drawn down to the line item, but it would make a lot of sense if it did. And sadly, some of the budget counseling I've done with individuals over time as a volunteer in some of the places that I do work, volunteer work, most people have no clue about what their budget looks like. They simply know they need to make more money because there's no more money left in their account. And the bills come faster than the income does. And they're always behind. They're always upside down, or they're barely breaking even. And any little stress that comes in their life, like for example, last night I took my truck into the dealership to get a moonroof fixed. And these guys wanted almost $1,800 to fix my moonroof. $1,800. I'm like, I don't need to see the moon that bad. My gosh. And unfortunately, the dealerships do try to take advantage of you. And I found another place that will fix it for less than half of that. But my gosh, a little bit less than half of $1,800. How many of you have that laying around and can comfortably say, gosh, I'm going to fix a moonroof in my truck? Or how many of you just drive around with your moonroof broken? Like I've done the last couple of weeks. It's been kind of an exhilarating experience as the wind breezes through my hair. Kind of funny, but we've got to get that fixed. And are those devastating occurrences to you? When you need a new set of tires, when you need a new moonroof, when there's a health bill that you weren't anticipating, when your insurance doesn't cover what it should, or maybe you don't have insurance. There's a lot of things that are causing you to struggle and making you to want to change. And I want you to bring a very accurate monthly budget. So in that, I want you to list your income. Be 2 categories: the recurring income. So if I work for a job and I make $5,000 a month, my recurring income will be $5,000 a month. Now, if I have intermittent income might be, gosh, I do some things on the side, or I do 1 or 2 real estate deals a year that usually I do 2 assignments a year that make me $5,000 or $10,000 a piece. So there's some intermittent income that's another $10,000 or $20,000 that I can count on in the year. We want to get a gross look at what your year is. Now, I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time talking about budgets or net worth statements at the event. What I'm going to talk about is how to fix it, how to cure it, how to clean it up. But I want you to have a very clear understanding of that, because it's painful. It's painful to say, gosh, I make $5,000 a month and my life costs $7,000 a month. Or I make $10,000 and it costs $15,000. Or I make $1,000. Or I don't have a job right now. Or whatever your situation is, we want to fix it and improve it significantly. And we'll have you list all debts. with the same two categories. So I want you to have income with set two categories, recurring and intermittent, and list all debts with the same two categories. Now you might say, gosh, my mortgage is this much a month. My car payment is this much a month. My credit card payment is this much a month. And that's how much I owe a month. No, you pay, for example, a car registration each year, but you only do that once a year. Okay. You have car expenses that might happen 2 or 3 times a year. You have health insurance expenses that don't happen each month, unless, of course, you have a monthly payment on that, which you'd list. But we want to make sure you have an accurate picture, because what we'll do is we'll take the recurring and intermittent income and times it by 12, get a year picture, and then divide by 12 and get an idea of what your monthly income looks like now. We'll do the same with your debt. How much money do you have to make each month for you to get by each month? Now, the questions then we can start asking is, gosh, where are you? Are you upside down in your life? Are you breaking even? Do you make a little more than you need to? How do things look right now? And then you'll be able to ask yourself at that point, how much do you need to survive? Question 1. How much do you need to thrive? Question number 2. And how much do you need to excel? So we have to get a really good idea of what your life costs. Now, part of this might be living a different life. I know people that spend a lot of money in a lot of places they don't necessarily have to. And those days are coming where you can spend money where you don't have to, but those days might not be right now. So it makes some sense for you to have this and bring it with you to Las Vegas, because I want to make sure that you have a very clear picture. I believe this will be a driving force for you to change. The clearer the picture you create for yourself, the clearer the picture that you bring, the more likely you'll be to say, I need to make some changes and I want to start now. Now, here's some things as we wrap up our little prep event here for you to bring. Gosh, guys, I want you to bring a great attitude. We're going to go to Las Vegas. We're going to be away from our lives. Most of the students attending are not from Las Vegas. So we'll have the chance to have some fun. We'll be away from life a little bit. I'd like you to try your hardest to plan to have your phones off for big chunks of time. We'll have plenty of breaks and we'll have opportunities for you to call and do things. But I want you to really focus on making some changes. I want you to really focus on why you need to do those things. That leads us to number 2, your red button statement. Those of you that are new, that aren't clear on what a red button statement is, this is the statement. This is kind of our why statement. This is why we have to do this, why we need to be successful, what's going to push us to change or pull us to change. Those things are going to be fantastic for you to understand. And if you don't have a big reason why to change, you won't. The next thing I want you to bring is your highest and best use real estate investment book. That book is going to be foundational for you. Try your best, guys, to read that if you haven't done that before the class. If you've received those, bring a copy of that. Some of you guys are guests and haven't received a copy. We'll make some available to you at the event. We'll show you how to get those. Those are fantastic books. You want to read as much of that as possible as you prepare for this event. The other thing I want you to bring is an additional notebook to take notes. I expect that you'll have dozens and dozens of pages of notes. The more notes that you take, the more likely you'll be to succeed with these teachings and the classes that we have and everything that we have moving forward. Now, we will have booklets at the event. There will be places to take notes, but I would anticipate and hope that you will take far more notes than our booklet will hold. So bring an extra notebook, bring some paper, and you want to, again, write down as much as you can. Maybe bring some snacks and some beverages with you so you don't have to buy them from the hotel. This will give you the chance to feed and nourish yourself. Won't have to worry too much about leaving the event during the breaks and racing to find something. I think this will be beneficial for you. The other thing I want you to do, those of you guys that have already been in the system, in the program, I want you to bring your area of expertise books. You've got to get this done. You've got to get this started. This should have been well underway by now. And I want you to bring what you have. I don't care if it's completed. I don't care if it's full. I want you to bring it. I want you to bring what you have, and we'll share it with the class, the area of expertise book. Now, if you don't have that done, I want you to bring a binder. I'd probably start with at least a 2 or a 2.5 inch binder, and I'd enter these things in there. The first thing you want to do is get your zoning maps from the city. There's 2 kinds, a current zoning map, and you also want to get your future or land use map. You also want to get your development standards, your zoning ordinances, and you want to get some of those things lined up, and that'll be a great start for you. If you can just get those things, we want to show you how to get a target-rich environment that you can start working with. The last thing we want you to bring, guys, is more people. We still have some space. I found out about 3 weeks ago that our room was bigger than they had told me, they had quoted to me. And so if we do have a couple of extra guests, it'll be just fine. But do make sure to register them with us, as we want to make sure that we have enough books and pamphlets and everything for the handouts that we're going to be doing. Do register those people with us, but bring them. Your ability to influence people, your ability to leverage people, your ability to be bigger than yourself will be key in your success in being able to retire in 5 years. So that's where we're headed, guys. Time to make this happen. Shoot any questions that you have, list them on the Facebook page. Those of you that are new, if you haven't been added to our Facebook group, we have a private Facebook group, Highest and Best Real Estate Investing. It's a Facebook group. If you search that, if you ask to be added, we'll add you in. And if you have any questions on prepping for Vegas, do list them there. And we'll plan on seeing you then, guys. Very excited to see this. Very excited to see your growth and your success. Got a lot of deals coming in. Very, very excited about making that happen. So have a great day, guys, and happy investing. I'll see you very soon in Las Vegas.